So we thought we'd each offer you maybe one or two headlines if you were just arriving here from Mars and had heard that there was a mobile revolution underway. What would be some of the things we would want to make sure you knew? And then we'll get into it from there.
We've come a long way in 10 years. So if you look back 10 years ago, nobody talked about mobile as anything beyond voice. Now we're talking about that as a platform. We're having conferences about it. The big news at CES and so forth, all of these things have been around mobile. And then I guess the sound bite for would be, if you think it's come a long way in 10 years, wait for the next 5 years. It's going to dramatically explode and change in ways that none of us here, probably of us older guys, can even imagine, but you guys can. So we're looking for ideas.
So mobile from an app to a platform, from a voice to a platform.
Voice to a platform, and from a platform to a platform as a device to a platform as the internet. The internet becomes the platform.
Yeah. Terry, what do you think? Headline on the mobile space, something we need to know?
So the headline, I think, for the industry, for us, and it ties well to what Mark is saying, is a voice business fundamentally is shifting to a data business. You look at the heritage of our company, and I think a lot in the mobile space, they were voice businesses. And we're at a perfect storm now where the speed of the networks, with the devices that are so attractive now, the services available, all of those things now have allowed this massive explosion of data. And that creates an opportunity for truly people to get information they need, access things on the go, not to stay in an office, not to stay at home, but to access information on the go. That is huge. And I would always, make, given we're a global company, to add that in the emerging markets, where there's very limited fixed infrastructure, the mobile networks will be the primary access to information. And that, I think, also is a headline and huge.
That's a really important point, because here we're replacing or augmenting or supplanting existing infrastructure. It's either network infrastructure or some other kind of infrastructure like information or commercial infrastructure. But the mobile maturation in emerging markets is the first infrastructure in many cases that those markets have had of any kind.
And in 2 or 3 years, once the faster networks get deployed in the emerging markets and the device prices come down, I think the same explosion that we're seeing here in data in the developed markets in Europe, Asia, and the US, we'll see it in the emerging markets.
All right, Kevin, what's your headline?
Yeah, from the kind of application innovator startup point of view, I think the headline is, let me try and get this right, like everything that I used to ever dream about, I ever wanted to do on a mobile phone, it's actually now doable, and I'm really scared. You used to be
He should be happy, but he's not. He's a miserable entrepreneur. I've already figured that out.
That's because I'm Scottish. Very good entrepreneurs, always slightly miserable. I mean, just to try and clarify that, I mean, you used to be able to build quite a good mobile startup business by solving, a couple of problems that were quite hard for other people to do. And you could define yourself fairly clearly. We're the company that does this little bit that helps Terry's guys do this. It's totally different now. I mean, the web has come to the mobile in like the last 12 months.
Right.
And if you want to build a mobile service which is in many ways a social media thing, you got to understand what you're doing overlays with what Twitter is doing in mobile and what Facebook are doing in mobile. That wasn't true even really 12 months ago. Right. So the headline is, all of us guys who used to be fairly big fish in the mobile pond, there's some enormous, blue whales that are now on the block, and you've got to have a strategy that is cognizant and can react to what these guys are doing.
This is a mobile revolution. What is the landscape going to look like after the dust settles? Whether we want to do that by trying to describe that in a sentence or by describing examples of things that we think are on the way. Before we talk about the impediments or the things that we need to make that happen, let's first, paint that picture. What does the pot at the end of the rainbow look like to you? Terry, do you want to go first?
So I'd say several things. There's a lot of different angles you can look at it on. First of all, the whole idea is that I think the world is going mobile, that people are not going to have to go to a home or an office to access their information. And I think with all that, the device here, the mobile is going to become the PC is going to become the mobile, that this really is going to be front and center to what people use. Now, in terms of all the services that are out there, on the enterprise side, the ability for a company owner, large enterprise owner, to take all the information they've got, inventory information, customer information, and empower their sales organization with that, I think is a huge opportunity. And in turn, what we would call machine to machine, putting RF devices in all sorts of applications. In your apparel. Basically, if you're a retailer, being able to track apparel and where that's going, pets. You can put it in your home for security, for heating, air conditioning, etc. I think that's where everything is going. There's a huge number of things that have to happen to enable that, and I think we'll get to that in a little bit, but that would be the vision.
I like that one. Kevin?
Yeah, I mean,
what's the opportunity with
For me, it's all about the user interface. You know, I mean, there's just no comparison between how good an iPhone UI is and what we had mostly. I mean, there were some other great devices as well, but you know, people's expectation of the quality of experience you have on a mobile device now is huge compared to what it was 24 months ago.
Been completely reset.
Totally.
Yeah.